This is Daily Armenia, CivilNet's daily news digest. Here's what's making headlines in Armenia today. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan reiterated his call for consultations on signing a finalized peace agreement with Azerbaijan, marking his third statement on the issue in 2 days. Security Council Secretary Armen Grigoryan also confirmed Armenia's readiness to sign today, emphasizing the need to determine details of where and when. While both sides announced on March 13th that negotiations on the treaty text had concluded, Azerbaijan has since imposed additional conditions, primarily that Armenia amend its constitution, a process that could take years. Armenian officials reject these demands, stating they remain committed to the peace agenda without escalating tensions. However, tensions persist on the ground. Azerbaijan has accused Armenia at least 10 times since Sunday of shelling its forces, claims the Armenian Defense Ministry strongly denies. Armenia has instead repeatedly offered to launch a joint ceasefire investigation mechanism and arms control measures, proposals Azerbaijan continues to ignore. Armenia is heading toward peace, not war, Pashinyan declared in an earlier post yesterday. Accordingly, he said the Defense Ministry has orders to not violate the ceasefire under any circumstances. Armenia's cabinet has moved to reopen its long-shuttered border crossing with Turkey for 10 days starting tomorrow to deliver humanitarian aid to Syria. This measure will allow for faster and cost-effective transportation of humanitarian aid sent from Armenia to the Syrian Arab Republic, today's announcement said. The Turkish government has yet to confirm its cooperation. The decision follows discussions between Armenian and Syrian officials on humanitarian cooperation. Armenia has, on several previous occasions, provided aid to Syria, home to a significant Armenian community affected by hostilities. Aid will be delivered through Armenia's recently overhauled Margara border checkpoint, which has been closed since 1993 after Turkey unilaterally shut the border during the First Karabakh War. In 2022, Yerevan and Ankara agreed to open their border to diplomats and third-country nationals. However, 3 years on, Turkey continues to delay implementation. It now indicates that the border will only open after Armenia and Azerbaijan complete their normalization process. The Margara checkpoint was briefly opened for the first time since independence in February 2023, when the Armenian government delivered humanitarian aid to Turkey and Syria following devastating earthquakes. Russian border guards had been stationed at the post until earlier this month, when they are replaced by Armenian forces. A year and a half after fleeing Nagorno-Karabakh to Armenia, tens of thousands of displaced persons remain in limbo. Despite international sympathy and government efforts, significant gaps persist in legal recognition, economic integration, and housing assistance. Aid distribution remains inefficient due to poor coordination between the Armenian government, international organizations, and civil society. Many donor states rely on government reports instead of direct refugee input, leading to underfunded initiatives and duplicated efforts. Compared to crises in Syria and Ukraine, Armenia has received significantly less financial support, partly due to weak diplomatic activity. Housing remains a critical issue, with many displaced families stuck in temporary shelters due to inadequate government programs and a lack of affordable options. Bureaucratic delays also hinder access to legal status, essential services, and citizenship. Employment remains a challenge, as displaced individuals struggle to find jobs due to a lack of vocational training and limited employer incentives. Without structured reintegration programs, former servicemen face difficulties transitioning into civilian careers. Experts suggest heightening international engagement, as well as forming a centralized task force to coordinate assistance and ensure transparency. Legal reforms on citizenship applications and economic incentives for businesses to hire displaced persons is also vital. And finally, the CivilNet number of the day is 7. That's because Arakelots Monastery in Armenia's northeastern Tavus region has been named this week as one of the 7 most endangered heritage sites in Europe by the cultural NGO Europa Nostra. While that might not sound like a good thing, these top 7 chosen from a shortlist of 14 have each become eligible for an $11,000 grant from the European Investment Bank. Arakelots is endangered for a number of reasons, ranging from its neglected state, it being situated on an active fault line, and its close proximity to the Azerbaijani border. Arakelots was nominated by Yasmin Dumtragut, Associate Professor of Armenian Studies at Salzburg University in Austria, who has laid out a restoration plan envisioning holistic research, cleaning, and preservation of the site, along with establishing a heritage trail that will empower the local community and foster sustainable ecotourism. And as always, keep following CivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.